Hey, welcome back. Throughout this lesson, I've mentioned that users are able to provision their own mobile devices for use with their Exchange Server mailboxes. So in this video, I want to walk you through the process as if I were a user who was connecting a brand new mobile device to an Exchange Server mailbox. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as you can see, this particular mobile device already has mail on it. And what we're looking at right here is a Hotmail account, essentially a Microsoft account. You can see that the email address is posey-wp7 at hotmail.com. That's just an account that I use for lab purposes. That's not my real email address or anything like that. If I click the start button and come back here, I've got this tile right here which represents my mailbox. That's my Hotmail mailbox that you just saw. There's the message that was open a moment ago. But we're not connected to Exchange, at least not in the lab environment. So that's what we want to do. We want to connect this device to Exchange Server. Now, there is one complication that we're going to run into. As I mentioned in one of the previous videos, I don't have a way of tying this particular phone into my lab DNS server. Because remember, this is a real phone and my lab environment is isolated. So even though I can connect to my Exchange servers, I don't have a way of redirecting DNS services on the phone so that it will recognize the fully qualified domain name of my Exchange server, my certificate server, that sort of thing. So what are the consequences of that? Well, the consequences are that we're going to get a certificate error because we're going to have to reference these servers by IP address rather than by fully qualified domain name. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now obviously the method that you'll use to attach to an Exchange mailbox is going to vary a little bit depending on your mobile operating system. An iPhone is going to work a little bit differently than a Windows phone, and an Android phone is going to be different than the other two. But this should at least give you some idea of what to expect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my start menu and I'm going to go to settings and I'm going to tap email and accounts. And now I have an option to add an account. So you can see that right now my Hotmail account is associated with the phone, as is my Twitter account. If I want to add an account, I just tap add an account. And the very first choice is Exchange. Not surprising for a Microsoft phone. So let's tap Exchange. And you can see that I have an option to enter an email address and a password. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for just one moment while I type that so you don't have to sit through watching me type. Okay, so I've entered user1 at poseydemo.com as my email address, and then I type my password. Now, normally that would be enough to link this phone to an Exchange mailbox, just the email address and password. But remember, this phone isn't going to be able to resolve poseydemo.com because it doesn't have access to my lab DNS server. So if I click sign in, the phone's going to ask me for more information. And we get an error message saying check your information and try again. You may have just mistyped your password. Well, I'm pretty sure I typed my password correctly, but we do have some fields here that we can use to provide additional information. So if I scroll down, we can enter a domain. So let me go ahead and do that. That's poseydemo.com. And I'll click sign in, and my guess is we're going to get another error message. And once again, we couldn't find your settings, but you notice that now we have an advanced button. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Or the phone retains all of the information that I had previously typed. So we still have the email address, password, username, and domain. But as I scroll down, now we have a field for the server. Now, I could type in the server name, but again, the phone's not going to be able to resolve that name. So what I can do instead is enter the phone's IP address, which I'll do right now. And this would be a good time to point out that I don't actually own this IP address. This is just a random address range that I started using in my lab like 20 years ago, and for whatever reason it stuck. So let me go ahead and click enter, and I receive a message saying that my account requires attention. So let's see what's going on. So I refresh my phone and now Posey Demo is showing up right here, but let's go ahead and click on it. And aha, here's the problem, an untrusted certificate. Because remember, our phone has the CA certificate, our Exchange server has a certificate from the certificate authority, but we're looking at the Exchange server's IP address, not its fully qualified domain name. So the certificate isn't going to match up to that IP address because the certificate is associated with a DNS name, not an IP address. So we know that this is a good IP address, so I'm just going to click continue. And now the synchronization process begins. And it looks like the synchronization process has completed, and I'm not seeing any error messages, so let's go ahead and click the start button. And you'll notice that now I have a Posey Demo mailbox. Incidentally, we could do anything we wanted with this tile, just like the desktop version of Windows 10. If I tap and hold on this I can resize the tile. I can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. And I could remove it from the start screen if I wanted to, but I'm just going to keep it the way it is for right now. And I'll tap on that. And here I am logged in as user 2. Here's my welcome to Exchange message. So I'm getting all of my mail on my Windows phone. So that's just a quick sample of how you might provision a device as an end user so that you can connect to an Exchange Server mailbox.